In the late 80s, a computer science student finishing up at UC Berkeley applied for his dream job, a position at Lucasfilm Games, George Lucas's video game company. Asked if he played any of the company's products, he answered that he loved them, especially their recent hit, Ball Blaster. At which point, his interviewer informed him that the game was actually called Ball Blazer. Ball Blaster was the pirated version of the game. He had blown his interview for his dream job.
I can fix anything, except that.
But figuring that he had nothing else to lose, he sent in his resume anyway with the most innovative cover letter in application history, a hand-drawn text-adventure cartoon about getting the job he always wanted. The cartoon was so witty and creative that against all odds, Lucasfilm Games welcomed in its newest employee, Tim Schafer. After working low-level positions on big-name games such as Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, Schafer got put on another project as a writer and designer. An adventure emphasizing exploration and puzzle solving, the game broke away from the stagnating fantasy settings of other games and introduced gamers to a fun, colorful world of pirates and ghosts. At the time, Lucasfilm Games, now renamed LucasArts, was most concerned about gaining a reputation for making amazing games, and thus gave their creative talent almost free rein to do whatever they thought would be great. The result was The Secret of Monkey Island, which went on to be a smash hit and a cornerstone of the adventure genre. After working on the inevitable sequel, Schafer got his first gig as a project lead on the next game in the Maniac Mansion franchise. The truly bizarre Day of the Tentacle. Involving a hyper-intelligent purple appendage and time-traveling toilets, the title once again showcased Schafer's creativity, innovation, and oddball sense of humor. The combination worked, and the title ended up another success for LucasArts. Inspired by Yojimbo's stoic yet humorous yet still badass hero, Schafer's next project was Full Throttle, a biker gang adventure. While generally well received, the game was criticized for its short 6-hour story, when other adventure games were regularly hitting the 40-hour mark. Nonetheless, its combination of interesting lead characters surrounded by an endlessly fun world to explore led to another dedicated fanbase, albeit one not quite as large as Monkey Island's. By the late 90s, advancements in graphics technologies and the changing taste of the gaming market meant that high-octane action titles were on the rise, and adventure games were on the wane. With The Secret of Monkey Island, Schafer had brought adventure games to their peak, and appropriately, he would also be the brains behind its last hurrah, 1998's Grim Fandango. Set in a Day of the Dead-inspired afterworld influenced by noir classics such as The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, Grim Fandango was one of the most visually innovative titles of the year. But though it had been warmly received by critics, it was ignored by audiences. The rising shooter genre had gained a new superstar in Half-Life, and against its slick graphics and its own innovative approach to storytelling, Grim Fandango fell by the wayside. LucasArts knew that Schafer was one of the best game makers in the adventure genre, and they knew Grim Fandango was a great game. And they also knew it wasn't selling. Bending to the whim of the market, LucasArts shut down its adventure game division. Schafer realized that if he wanted to keep playing the games he loved, he'd have to make them himself. He left LucasArts after 10 incredible years of legendary titles and creative freedom to start his own company. Double Fine! He formed Double Fine Productions in 2000 and slowly assembled a team for his next project, Psychonauts. Once again showcasing Schafer's distinctive creativity, the game followed the exploits of psychic children at a government training summer camp. The kids have to fight off the local psychic wildlife as well as the evil Dr. Lobato, often having to traverse through their own psyches in order to discover critical clues. Microsoft agreed to publish the title as an Xbox exclusive, and then, in early 2004, pulled out. Shopping the project around to publishers, Schafer was repeatedly told that his game was amazingly creative, and that was a bad thing. The old LucasArts philosophy, do something original and people will buy it, was not so popular in the modern business culture. Finally, Majesco agreed to take a risk on creativity and release the game in 2005 to the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. Despite rave reviews from critics, like Grim Fandango before it, the game simply didn't find an audience. The commercial failure highlighted a dismal year for Majesco, which decided to pull out of high-budget console games entirely. But the game did garner a cult following, and in June 2006, Schafer personally reached out to fans to begin an email campaign to make the Xbox 360 backwards compatible with Psychonauts. The campaign was such a success that not only did the console become Psychonauts compatible in December, but a year later, Schafer's Baby was one of the debut titles for Microsoft's much-hyped Xbox originals, downloadable versions of older Xbox titles. Despite the disappointing sales, Schafer and the team at Double Fine were already hard at work on their next title. Schafer remained unusually tight-lipped about this new project, afraid that any leaked details might endanger a future business deal. But in December 2008, EA announced that it would be publishing Brutal Legend. A love note, or perhaps a power ballad, to heavy metal, the game once again features a unique and wildly inventive world revolving around a character that players wished they were. It is in many ways a break from Schafer's past. With no plans to come to PC, Brutal Legend will be Schafer's first console-exclusive title. It will also be the story-oriented designer's first foray into multiplayer gaming. In fact, the development team began the multiplayer component first, since they knew learning all these new tricks would be the biggest design challenge of the game. But most importantly, the gameplay itself will be combat intensive. It is a hack-and-slash title, in stark contrast to the puzzle and exploration games that Schafer helped to define. With the backing and promotional muscle of EA and a huge voice cast of both Hollywood and heavy metal superstars, Brutal Legend has generated a ton of hype, and should shoot Schafer back into the limelight. From his college days playing the pirated Ball Blaster, Schafer has been a creative pioneer in the gaming industry, bringing a genre to its peak and then watching it fall around him, creating monster hits and financial disappointment, with more than one classic of the medium to his name. His life beyond LucasArts has been uncertain, all the more so due to Psychonauts' poor sales. But if Brutal Legend can live up to its promise, Tim Schafer's blend of wit, charm, and originality will be the act to beat once again.
Decapitation! There. It is dead.